Hello friends, welcome to the Viva Voce of Anatomy. Today we will see the posterior part of a Norma Basalis, that is lies behind the line which is passing through the anterior margin of a foramina magnum. So this part is the posterior most part of a Norma Basalis. This part is divided into two parts, the median area and the lateral area. First we see the median area. The median area will contain most anteriorly the foramina magnum, followed by external occipital crest and external occipital protuberance. Now the foramina magnum, superiorly it communicates with the posterior cranial fossa and the inferiorly it communicates with the vertebral canal. It is an oval shape. Anteriorly on the either side, it is flanked by the occipital condyles. So this is a foramina magnum. Now from the posterior margin of the foramina magnum up to the external occipital protuberance passes one elevated line which is known as an external occipital crest. External occipital crest. Now external occipital protuberance, that is lies in the lowermost part of a norma occipitalis, and it marks the junction of a neck with the scalp. Now from the lateral margin of an external occipital protuberance passes one curved line which is known as the superior knuckle line. Now few centimeters below the superior knuckle line, from the middle of an external occipital crest passes another curved line which is known as an inferior knuckle line. So this is the median area of a posterior part of Norma Basalis. Now talking about the lateral area. The lateral area is having the condylar part of an occipital bone, the squamous part of an occipital bone, the jugular foramina, the styloid process, and the mastoid process. First, the occipital part, condylar part of an occipital bone. It contains occipital condyles. The long axis of this occipital condyle is directed forward and the medially, and this will articulate with the superior articular facet of a atlas C1 vertebra to form atlanto-occipital joint. Now, through this part, condylar part of the occipital bone, passes posterior anteriorly one canal which is known as a hypoglossal canal. Hypoglossal canal. Now the structure passing through the hypoglossal canal are hypoglossal nerve, meningeal branch of a hypoglossal nerve, meningeal branch of the ascending pharyngeal artery, and the emissary vein. The next, behind the occipital condyle lies the condylar fossa, and this condylar fossa contains another canal which is known as a condylar canal. The structure passing through the condylar canal is an emissary vein, and this will open inside into the lower part of a sigmoid sulcus. Now we see the squamous part. Second, the squamous part of an occipital bone contains inferior knuckle line and the superior knuckle line. The next is a jugular foramina. See this jugular foramina which directed forward and the medially. Its anterior part or a medial part is narrow and the posterior part is a wider. Now we see the structure passing through this jugular foramina. Through its medial part or an anterior part passes inferior petrosal sinus and meningeal branch of ascending pharyngeal artery. Through its posterior part passes internal jugular vein and meningeal branch of an occipital artery, and through its middle part passes the 9, 10 and the 11 cranial nerve, that is the glossopharyngeal, vagus and the spinal accessory nerve. Now this jugular foramina in its posterior end is hollowed out to form a jugular fossa. This is the jugular fossa. Now on the medial wall of a jugular fossa, you can see one minute canal, this one. This is known as a mastoid canaliculus, and this will transmit the auricular branch of a vagus nerve. The second Between this jugular fossa and this lower end of a carotid canal lies one thin edge of the bone, and this thin edge of the bone will contain another minute canal which is known as a tympanic canaliculus. Tympanic canaliculus, which transmit the tympanic branch of a glossopharyngeal nerve. Okay. Now the next part is a styloid process. The styloid process, here you can see the base of the styloid process. It has been cut over here. The styloid process is a needle-like process which is directed forward and the medially, and its root is encysted by the tympanic plate. The styloid process. Now, behind the styloid process, you can see one foramina. This name of this foramina is a stylomastoid foramina. Stylomastoid foramina, which transmit a facial nerve and the stylomastoid branch of a posterior auricular artery. Stylomastoid foramina. The last, the mastoid process. Mastoid process is a part of a temporal bone, and it is directed downward and the forward, posterolateral to the styloid process. Its posterior surface is marked by a notch, which is known as a mastoid notch, which gives origin to the posterior belly of a digestive muscle. Now we see the another attachments of this part. The margin of a foramina magnum. The anterior margin provides attachment of anterior atlanto-occipital membrane. Posterior margin will give attachment to the posterior atlanto-occipital membrane. This external occipital crest and the external occipital protuberance provides the attachment of a ligamentum nuchae. Now, the area between the superior knuckle line and the inferior knuckle line provides the insertion of semispinalis capitis medially and the superior oblique muscle laterally, whereas the area below the inferior knuckle line receives the insertion of rectus capitis posterior minor medially and the rectus capitis posterior major laterally. So this is all about a posterior most part of a Norma Basalis. Thank you.
If you like this video, like it and share with your friends. And to get the regular update on the anatomy videos, please subscribe to our channel and click on the bell icon.